Welcome to Real Estate for Beginners. I'm Gershon Levy. In this episode, we're going to talk about what the seller needs to do prior to them being able to list their home on the market and entertain offers from buyers. Enjoy. So just like a buyer has to prepare to buy a home, a seller has to prepare to sell their home. And one of the first things that they're going to figure out, a seller and their listing agent, is what do we want to sell the house for, right? What is the list price? But how does one figure out a list price? Well, the most common way is the listing agent is going to try to figure out the value of the home first. And to do that, they're going to look at the comparable sales, or as we say in real estate, the comps. Now, what this means is the listing agent is going to look at the house they're trying to sell and then look at the surrounding area of homes, maybe half a mile radius. And they're going to look at all similar type houses to the ones they're trying to sell. So if the house they're trying to sell is a 2-story with 3 bedrooms and a pool, they're going to look for houses like that in the area, or at least, of similar size. And once they look at what those houses sold for, they'll compare those houses to their house and try to figure out a value from that. So once they've figured out what they think the value is, or what the fair market value, or FMV is, they're going to go to the seller and they're going to say, hey, this is what I think the fair market value is. Would you feel comfortable listing the house at or around this price? And if the seller agrees, then they have agreed on a list price, or an initial offering price for the home to the market. Now, the seller, I don't have a lot of big terms or vocabulary for them, but I wanted to touch on what they need to do, what they need to understand that they need to do prior to the house actually being sold. A seller has to allow a lot of showing availability. And what that means is you can't be a seller and say, well, the house is available for show Monday and Wednesday from 1 to 5 p.m. I've seen stuff like that. It's crazy. And people wonder why their houses are on the market for months at a time. You need to allow the most amount of time possible to attract the most number of buyers so you can sell your house. At the same time, sellers need to keep their home presentable, which is an easy thing to think of, but you'd be surprised at how many homes I walk into that are dirty or not well kept. Every single buyer that walks in is a potential buyer. Don't think that they're not. So you want to give your best first impression to them by keeping the home presentable for showings. So now that we understand what the value is and what the seller is expected to do, let's talk about the actual agreement between the seller and the listing agent. So this is called a listing agreement, which is the paperwork that allows the listing agreement and their brokerage to sell the seller's home. And a couple things are going to be agreed upon prior to the start of the sales of the home. The first is the length of the contract. How long does the listing agent have to sell this house? Is it 2, 3, or 6 months, or even longer? What is the price we're trying to sell the house at, right? We just talked about list price. Well, they've agreed, and now it's going to be put to the actual paperwork. The next is the commissions. They're going to decide prior what the listing agent's going to get paid and what they're going to offer the buyer's agent in a commission. That's decided even before the house is on the market. And then finally, what stays in the house and what goes in the house. This is important to decide prior because, if a seller says, yeah, I'm going to leave the chandelier, you know what I mean? And then in the middle of escrow, they're like, no, I want to take it back. It can cause some problems between the sellers and the buyer. So the listing agent's going to make sure and be clear about what they're trying to keep in the house and what they're trying to take with them. The series is not quite over yet, so make sure you watch the next video, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Have a great day, and thanks so much.